Thank you.
Susie, I love that song. It reminds me of the journey we're all on, of going inward to find the holiness that is there beyond the personality, beyond the shadow, to find that Christ-centered place within us where we recognize everything is holy. So this is the second Sunday of Lent, and it is the day where we celebrate the Transfiguration. Remember the Transfiguration? Well, I'm going to read from Matthew 17 today, the story of the Transfiguration. And after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain apart. And he was transfigured before them. I'm sorry, that took me off course. Can I start again? Will you forgive me? Okay. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, his brother, and led them up a high mountain apart. And he was transfigured before them. And his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah, the law and the prophets. And Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is well that we are here, and if you wish, I will make 3 booths here, one for Elijah, one for Moses, and one for you. Peter was still speaking when, lo, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were filled with awe. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, Rise and have no fear. And when they lifted up their eyes, they saw no one but Jesus only. Rise. Rise up and have no fear. So what is it that makes those mountaintop experiences so profoundly healing for us? I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we touch into that place where we connect with the best, truest self of ourselves, and the best and the love are all around us, and can see the best in everyone else. And then we go down the mountain. Let me read to you what Fillmore said metaphysically about the Transfiguration. So the Christ body is the transfigured one. When we perceive it, when we ascend into a high place spiritually, into the secret place of the Most High, where we lift up our thoughts. The apostles of Jesus represent the faculties of the spiritual man. When we lift up our faculties, we behold spiritual reality, and we see the body as it is in truth, refined and vitalized in every cell, quickened and harmonized in every function, transformed into a body of living, luminous energy. Beautiful, strong, whole, young, eternal. A true center of the divine energy. And that's who each one of us is in truth. A divine center of energy, radiating light out all of the time. So often we think that what we need to do is talk to solve problems, to fix situations, to communicate clearly, when in essence, what we're told here is to listen, to pause and to listen to something greater than the chatter of our mind. How many hours of the day do we spend listening to that chatter going on in our mind? I listened to it all last night. Doesn't make for good sleep. But what it did do for me is it took me up that mountain, kept taking me up that mountain. It kept reminding me that I have faculties within me that are greater than the thoughts that I think, the emotions that I feel. Jesus took Peter, James, and John. Now, those apostles represent faith, wisdom, and love. So those are always good faculties to engage in if we want to have a mountaintop experience. If we really want to shine our brightest light out there. And in shining our brightest light out there, we're not even thinking about that. What we're thinking about is that what we are channels of divine energy radiating all of the time. We are divine energy radiating all of the time. And when we have a mountaintop holy experience, you know what happens? A doorway opens, and heaven and earth are joined, and peace falls over the planet. Heaven and earth are joined. Sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds wonderful to me, the idea that heaven and earth can be joined if I can rise up, climb up that mountain, activated by my faith, by my love, and with wisdom, and be transformed and transfigured. You know, it is said that when a system gets confused or anxious or worried about what's next, the system falls back on what's habitual. And that's the same for us. We have patterns we fall into that aren't the real us. They're an aspect of our mind that somehow we've got identified with. You know, we all have them. And when we have them, I love the idea of listening to the Christ rather than talking. And I know you're all thinking, does she ever shut up? And really, my personality type is very talky. But nothing holy seems to come forward from my mouth till I've climbed that mountain, till I've recognized and seen there's another way of being, that I allow myself to be led by spirit, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. And we can all choose that. But boy, aren't we inundated with a lot of negativity? You know, the coronavirus isn't going to kill us all. It's wise to take precautions, right? And it's kind of fun to elbow bump or toe touch or even go or namaste. It breaks up the ritual we fall into and brings our awareness to a different level of truth. The truth is that we each are beloved children of God. We are who God is well pleased with. And as beloved children of God, we have a responsibility a responsibility, sometimes that's very hard, to have crucial conversations. You know what happens with a lot of crucial conversations? People want to shoot the messenger. Nobody in this community, no one, is against anyone else. We are a community founded on love, built by love. And this love will sustain us through whatever our search process is. With clarity, focus, ease, and grace, we be the community of the next magnificent minister by being something greater than what we have been in the past. Does this make sense? Does it sound like a good idea? Would you like to get transfigured? Well, let's do it together. How about that? Because climbing the mountain by myself last night was an inward journey towards who I truly am. And it was important that I took that journey by myself, using my spiritual faculties. But I'd much rather have fun playing with you all as we decide together what's the next step. We are radiating centers of light. Remember Carl Sagan? He said we're all made of stardust. So each one of you sitting here are twinkling stars. You're made of heaven. Open the doorway of your heart and let's find new and exciting ways to communicate with each other. Nobody's against anything. What we are for is the highest and best of this community. I have a wonderful poem that, and I left it over here too, that's no longer in print, but it's a poem May Rowland created. Do you remember the Child of Light prayer? Any of you? Well, when my mother passed away, I found gazillions of the Child of Light prayers with all of our names written all over them. Listen to the words of the Child of Light. Child of Light, I bless you. I think of you, I pray for you. Not in terms of what I think you need or what I think you should do or be or express. I lift up my thoughts of you. I see you as you truly are, a holy child of light. I see you guided and directed by an inward spirit that leads you to unerringly into paths that are just right for you. Just right for you. I see you strong and whole. I see you blessed and prospered. I see you courageous and confident. I see you capable and successful. I see you free from all limitations of bondage of any kind. I see you as the spiritually perfect being you truly are. Child of light, I bless you. When I'm with somebody going through their transition to the other side, I always take this prayer with me and recite it to them. And there's a peace that falls over as they listen to the words. Sometimes I just whisper it into their ears. But we all need to know that we're children of light. That darkness will fall upon us. We will get lost in the woods. We will follow that dreaded monkey mind into a conversation that limits who we are. We will dwell in our personality, and that's not wrong. It's just limited. That when we find that Christ within us, transfiguration can happen. Moments are holy. And as we focus on those holy moments of being together, they spread. And we begin to see there's more holy moments than there's not holy moments. So this morning, as you gathered here for church, I applaud you for setting your alarm ahead. I think that's part of the reason I didn't sleep. And I applaud you for caring enough about this community to come to share your life with us, to be of one accord. And from that one accord, that holy hum of perfection and light and wholeness will resound. This is what's possible. So, are you going to be a doorway to heaven and earth? Can you think of a situation where perhaps you weren't exactly the doorway? Am I the only one? When we think we're right, when we justify why we don't do what we said we're going to do, when we rationalize what we do that we know is not ours to do anymore, that is the darker side of us. It's not bad. It's not disgusting. It's not to be shameful of. It is there to see, to have the light shine upon it. So whenever you're in a situation where you're confused and you don't know exactly what the next step is, climb that mountain of consciousness. Get into that secret place, that high place where you meet with the Christ of your being. Sit in that light and listen for the love and the wisdom, and put your faith into action. And know, as you come down the mountain, you can go right back up the next day. We are never alone. We are constantly guided and supported and comforted by a presence that is loving, giving, that brings every cell of our body alive to life, that allows us to face whatever we are called to face with great courage, even if we're scared. You know, I'm going home tomorrow for 3 weeks, and my grandson's on spring break. And so we're taking him to New York, and he's all excited about it. I don't know if I told you. I probably didn't tell you this because it happened this week. I got a phone call from him the other day. He's 15. I don't know what to say. I'm just hoping I don't blow it, you know. Don't say anything grandmotherly, you know. Try and be interesting. And it was funny. He wanted to chat, so you know, I let him chat. He wanted to know how things were going in the church. He wanted to know what the weather in Florida is like. And he wanted to talk about going to New York. And so I said to him just yesterday, I said, oh, don't worry, I got masks for us for the plane to go to and from New York. And there was dead silence. And he said, Nan, don't you have faith? Darn, don't you hate it when they nail you? And then he proceeded to send me articles where masks were not that important and we should save it for people who really needed it, because he is a researcher. So we all have an opportunity to learn. We're all going to make mistakes. We're not going to say the right things at the right time to everybody, but we're going to give it a good shot, right? We're going to forgive each other for our mistakes and climb that mountain and see all the holy moments below. When my mom was dying, she said, "Carla, you know the best part of this?" I said, "No." And she said, "It's like I'm climbing a staircase and I can look down on the patterns in my life. And I can see why sometimes I turned left and sometimes I turned right. And I always knew God was there." So, beloveds, let's love each other and see each other's light and know that God is here all of the time. Namaste. And as we prepare ourselves for a time of listening in the silence, if it's comfortable for you, allow my words to be your words as we go inward. God of light, light of the world, in our union with you, may all veils be lifted away. May our eyes be truly opened. May we see Christ in all things. May we see the fullness of your glory. What would it be like to see the fullness of God's glory? Let us just take a few moments in the silence and listen for that inner voice of wisdom that wants to have your attention just for a while. Oh, my God, how I love thee. Let us raise our voices together by singing our Lord's Prayer. The kingdom and the glory forever and ever.